Perfect World Episode 219. After Shi Hao slayed the Void Beast, everyone treated him as a joke, mistakenly thinking he was just an ordinary individual. Picking up from the events after Shi Hao completely suppressed the Void Beast, he didn't immediately kill it. Instead, he wanted to learn the secrets of the other world from its mouth. Unexpectedly, the Void Beast was a tough nut to crack. Although it felt the threat of death, it did not compromise. Instead, it told Shi Hao to stop dreaming. However, just then, Shi Hao's sword strike cut into its primordial spirit, preventing it from recovering from its weakened state to its peak. Then Shi Hao struck again, imprisoning the Void Beast's divine consciousness. He wanted to forcibly probe all the secrets in its primordial spirit. At this moment, the Void Beast became desperate. The primordial spirit imprint is the very foundation of a being. If spied upon by others, then there would be no secrets left. Then its primordial spirit began to burn spontaneously, about to completely explode. Seeing this, Shi Hao swung the sword embryo in his hand. After severing the Void Beast's head, he quickly retreated because in the Void Beast's primordial spirit, Shi Hao sensed a dangerous presence. It was a destructive aura. A mysterious rune lit up, preparing to completely destroy it. Apparently, this was a prohibition of the Void Beast clan. To prevent the clan's supreme techniques from leaking, runes were placed on clan disciples. Once someone forcibly explored their sea of consciousness, it would self-destruct. At this moment, the Void Beast was terrified. It screamed madly, burning its golden blood, wanting to stop all this. However, Shi Hao's previous sword strike had obliterated most of the runes. In the end, it didn't truly erupt.
The Void Beast's primordial spirit survived.
After Shi Hao saw the Void Beast's terrified expression, he continued to press, "You're truly tenacious.
Now you can tell me what you want to know, right?"
However, the Void Beast didn't even think and decisively refused. Shi Hao calmly stated, "Then there's nothing more to say. I can only chop you up piece by piece and eat your meat." Then he directly took out a large cauldron, preparing to stew the Void Beast's flesh. Seeing this, the Void Beast couldn't help but curse loudly. It had never encountered such an opponent. It was clearly the most powerful being in this world. When had it ever been reduced to being someone else's food? This was truly a first since the dawn of time. However, Shi Hao didn't care much. He was seen waving the Donghua immortal sword. After chopping off a large piece of meat from the body, he cleaned it and threw it directly into the cauldron. At this moment, the Void Beast almost fainted from anger. Not only was its physical body mutilated, but its mind and spirit were also in extreme pain. Finally, the Void Beast couldn't bear it anymore. From the previously severed head, a special ball of light rushed out, quickly entering the broken body. Then, the body began to burn and boil. Shi Hao didn't think much of it. He thought the Void Beast was going to self-destruct, so he chose to retreat. However, as time went on, Shi Hao immediately sensed something was wrong. When the Void Beast's massive body was burned to ashes, all its essence, chi, and spirit flowed into the head. Then it triggered a lightning tribulation. Apparently, this was the Void Beast's method of Nirvana. Shi Hao was extremely shocked by this. This beast was too outrageous. Even at this stage, did it still want to defy the heavens? Soon, after the Void Beast's head absorbed void particles from all directions, a miniature version of the Void Beast appeared inside the skull. With a loud bang, terrifying void particles circulated rapidly, unimaginably powerful. Then, a massive phantom of the Void Beast appeared in the sky. Although it was just a blurry shadow, the terrifying pressure it released made people feel suffocated. In the distance, beings from the other world on the battlefield exclaimed, "The Void King Beast is actually undergoing Nirvana and rebirth." It is rumored that when a Void Beast undergoes Nirvana, a phantom of its ancestor will appear to help its descendants condense void power. Seeing this, Shi Hao, wielding the Donghua immortal sword, quickly charged forward, wanting to stop the Void Beast from undergoing Nirvana. But he was surprised to find that he was blocked by void power and couldn't get close at all. However, just then, from the great Dao flower above Shi Hao's head, the small figure sitting cross-legged suddenly opened its eyes, staring intently at the Void Beast undergoing Nirvana in front. Instantly, its soul trembled, revealing a look of terror. And the void power around it, and the ancestral phantom, also vanished. Clearly, the Void Beast's Nirvana had failed. To prevent another accident, Shi Hao directly slashed with his sword, splitting the void beast's head and primordial spirit in two, completely obliterating both body and spirit. Finally, after Shi Hao cleaned up the scene, he returned to the battlefield. Wang Shi, who was fighting enemies, after seeing Shi Hao return, asked, "Where did you go just now? Did you see the void beast undergoing its tribulation Nirvana?" Shi Hao calmly replied, "I saw it. But I chopped it up." As soon as these words were spoken, the entire battlefield fell silent. The void beast was a powerful being that had cultivated 3 strands of immortal qi. It rarely met a worthy opponent. Furthermore, even if it couldn't win, it could escape, because its innate divine ability was to merge into the void. Thus, Shi Hao's abrupt words aroused everyone's suspicion. At this time, a being from the other world stepped forward and sneered, "You dare to dream of killing the void beast? Do you know how extraordinary the void king beast is? It was undergoing Nirvana just now, becoming one with the entire void. Its defensive power was incredibly astonishing. Even those of the same cultivation level couldn't break through it. One must be 1 or 2 major realms higher. You are just a cultivator at the Sacred Ruins realm, and you dare to boast so shamelessly." Another person continued, "Lord Void Beast must have hidden itself in the void.
Nirvana requiert récupération.
But when it reappears, its strength will be even greater. At that time, it will no longer be a heavenly deity. It will officially step into a higher major realm, truly dominating the world." The disciples of the Heavenly Deity Academy were stunned upon hearing this. How could they resist the void beast after its nirvana? As for the beings from the other world, they all looked at Shi Hao with disdain, thinking he was boasting too much, treating him as a joke. After hearing their discussions, Shi Hao was secretly surprised. Is a void beast undergoing nirvana really that hard to kill? But just now, it seemed quite easy for me. I wasn't repelled by the void power. However, Shi Hao soon thought of another problem. All of this might be related to the small figure sitting on the great Tao flower. That small figure doesn't belong to the present, it's as if it lives in the past. But does it really have such great power? Then Shi Hao said to the cultivators from the other world again, "The void beast was indeed chopped up by me. If you don't believe me, you can call it out for a fight." Someone sneered, "Who doesn't know that once Lord Void Beast undergoes nirvana, it falls into a deep slumber, evolving with its whole being? How could it possibly appear now?" Shi Hao was speechless. He had clearly killed a void beast, yet no one believed him. But that was fine too, he hadn't planned to publicize this matter anyway. He just said it casually. But one thing was certain, when not long after, the void beast never appeared again, everyone would understand that what he said was not false. At that time, it would definitely cause a huge storm. At this moment, Princess Yaoyue walked over and said to Shi Hao, "You are truly an interesting person. Even now, you can still joke around." Others from the Heavenly Deity Academy were also staring at Shi Hao. Some were mocking, some were angry. They were very dissatisfied with this matter. As for Wang Shi, her face was a bit embarrassed. She felt that this guy next to her was too unreliable, he even dared to boast about such a thing as his achievement. It was truly a bit shameful. Then she said to Shi Hao, "Can't you just behave yourself?"
C'est a little less.
Shi Hao replied nonchalantly, "Isn't it just a void beast?
Yet you all treat it like a treasure."
But to me, it's just a mutt. If you want to eat, I'll treat you to lean void beast meat later. The white-robed youth who was originally fighting Wang Shi was actually amused by Shi Hao's words at this moment. He found this person very interesting, spouting nonsense in broad daylight. Seeing this, Shi Hao glared at him and said, "Kid, you're quite sick. What are you giggling about by yourself?" Hearing this, the white-robed youth's expression changed drastically. This guy actually dared to look down on him like this. Then he shouted, "Are you looking for death?" Shi Hao beckoned with his finger, and said with a disdainful look, "If you're not convinced, then come and fight. I'll suppress you with one punch." The white-robed youth's expression was complicated. He felt this guy was a bit unorthodox. The opponent clearly only had 2 strands of immortal qi, yet dared to challenge a strong expert with 3 strands of immortal qi. You know, his own battle with Wang Shi up to now had yet to determine a winner. On what grounds could someone who just popped up dare to boast so shamelessly? Shi Hao taunted, "You can't even beat a woman, so don't try to show off in front of me." The white-robed youth was truly infuriated by these words. This bastard actually dared to mock him like this. Was he really not afraid of being suppressed by a young supreme who had cultivated 3 strands of immortal chi? As for the people from the Heavenly Deity Academy, they all showed strange expressions. They wanted to laugh but couldn't. They had all witnessed the white-robed youth's divine prowess. This unknown fellow, where did he get the courage to be so arrogant? A cultivator from the other world sighed, if you don't court death, you won't die. Shi Hao looked at that person and beckoned, responding, are you courting death? Hearing this, the person immediately bristled, directly abandoning his opponent and charging towards Shi Hao. This was a strong expert who had cultivated 2 strands of immortal chi, with 3 heads and 6 arms, a human body but a monstrous form. He was seen sweeping his leg in mid-air, while his 6 arms rapidly formed seals, like a 1,000-armed ancient monk, intending to deliver a fatal blow to Shi Hao here. However, Shi Hao reacted quickly, instantly appearing in front of the person, grabbing his sweeping thigh, holding it tightly. Then he swung him around violently, like holding a scarecrow, and smashed him into the ground. Of course, during this process, Shi Hao was also activating his precious technique, shattering the opponent's bones. So after that being landed, his entire body was deformed. It was as miserable as it could get. Then, Shi Hao unleashed another sword chi, directly severing the opponent's head. Then he looked at the crowd and said domineeringly, is there anyone else who isn't convinced?
If you want to court death, feel free to come over.
But this one is much weaker than the void beast. This is the fate of those who don't listen. Directly chopped. Hearing this, the crowd all looked at Shi Hao with suspicious eyes. This guy was somewhat strange. Could he really be a super expert? But no matter what, people couldn't believe he could kill the void beast, because this simply didn't make sense. The void beast merges with heaven and earth, even if defeated, it could escape. However, just then, someone suddenly spoke up, this person is clearly below the heavenly deity realm, a peak achiever in body cultivation. His physical techniques are his reliance. Hearing this, everyone opened their heavenly eyes, carefully observing Shi Hao, confirming they could only see 2 strands of immortal chi and didn't find that hidden 3rd strand. At the same time, they also noticed that Shi Hao's body surface had a special luster. That was a manifestation of his flesh and blood being extraordinary, there wasn't a single flaw. In a certain sense, the level Shi Hao's physical body could reach had already surpassed the utmost limit.
The legendary Vajra indestructible bodywooden bistranger Denis.
Of course, this was also a type of body cultivation from ancient methods. Since ancient times, some cultivated techniques, and naturally, some would choose to temper their bodies. But the latter was incomparably difficult, very hard to reach the end. It was even harder to achieve the supreme great Tao. After all, the path of body tempering was too arduous, it could be called very narrow. Cultivating body techniques required reaching the strongest physical body. The hardships involved were equally unimaginable. It even required tempering sinews and bones with various divine medicines, and cleansing meridians with the blood of immortal true spirits. Of course, these things were not something ordinary people could obtain. Because just cultivating body techniques was already very difficult. Adding these required items, at least 90% of cultivators would not choose this path. At this moment, everyone was staring at Shi Hao. Around him, worldly essence chi was surging on its own. This was the physical body becoming immortal, the inevitable path towards immortality. Clearly, Shi Hao now showed such signs. Everyone exclaimed, this person has indeed mastered the legendary body techniques. His future achievements are limitless. Princess Yaoyue's beautiful eyes flashed, looking Shi Hao up and down. She then smiled at Wang Shi and said, no wonder little sister treasures him. This young man looks delicate, but he actually has a very sturdy build. He's a good man. Hearing this, Wang Shi immediately glared at her. Then she replied, if you want him, I'll give him to you. Princess Yaoyue continued to tease, such a well-built body cultivator is quite rare. Oh, don't you want him? Hearing the conversation between the two, everyone was stunned in place. They didn't expect the 2 peerless beauties to say such things. Someone from the other world spoke, when fighting this kind of person, absolutely do not let him get close. Otherwise, he can tear you apart in one encounter. After hearing everyone's discussions, Shi Hao felt speechless. He clearly had only cultivated his physical body to the extreme. How did he get mistaken for a body cultivator? But thinking about it carefully, this wasn't entirely wrong. A mistake. Because with Shi Hao's current physical strength, he was definitely at the forefront of the heavenly deity realm. Then Shi Hao continued to shout, "So what if I'm a body cultivator? If you're not convinced, just come over. And that white-robed kid, I'm talking to you, come here. I'm going to kick your butt." The white-robed youth felt particularly annoyed upon hearing this. There were so many experts on the battlefield, but why did this guy pick on him specifically? Was it just because he had chuckled at him a few times earlier? However, the white-robed youth ultimately held back, because he felt that arguing with someone like Shi Hao was beneath him. However, Shi Hao was still relentless, deliberately pointing at him. Seeing this, the white-robed youth really couldn't hold back anymore. So he decisively gave up his fight with Wang Shi and rushed towards Shi Hao. Please give us a like and subscribe, fellow Taoists. Let's continue our chat in the next episode.